I'd like to call a Village Public Works and Protection meeting Tuesday, September 6, 2022. Roll call, please.
Gary Paul,
Here.
John Burnett,
Here.
Joan Euclid,
Here.
Kelly Turbick,
Here.
and Jake Krieger.
Here.
Jeez. Stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, indivisible, with liberty and justice. I'd like to have a motion on the action of the agenda, please.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Got a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Minutes from the August 3rd Public Works and Protection meeting. Any corrections or additions? If not, I'll obtain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 6, comments from the public must be limited to items not on the agenda, must state name and address, limit to 5 minutes. Board role is to listen and not discuss the item. Personal issues cannot be discussed, no individual names. Board is not able to take action at this meeting. Do we have any public, any auction that would like to have any comments? If not, we'll move on to action items. Action item number 7, action on appeal of denial operators license, Tony C. Hafer. You've got a letter here from Tony explaining the situation. Any questions? If not, somebody want to open the floor to have Terry come up, or Tony come up and talk?
Move to open the floor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Tony, would you like to come up and do your little presentation?
You can have a seat there. Sorry.
State your name and address, please.
My name's Tony C. Hafer. I live at 1257 Braden Lane, De Pere, Wisconsin, 54115, apartment 49.
Okay, Tony, we've read your letter and want to know what happened and what's your plan ahead?
Well, that night there was other things that were kind of, I guess, happened before that night, and it's been like 3.5 years of it. And I worked at D2 Stadium District for a long time, and I didn't leave because the money was so good, but at the same time, the situation was really toxic, and I can't blame like what happened on that all because of that. Like, it's my responsibility on what I did and how I reacted. But it wasn't just that night that's why it happened. It was manipulation, narcissism to the fullest. And like, I mean, that's not me at all.
Okay. Okay, I kind of jumped ahead here. Chris, I should have gotten you involved in this first before we got Tony. Our chief, I know you want to speak also. Go for it.
Sure. The reason for my denial and the review before the board is simply the actions that occurred that night were directly related to her bartender's license. After reading the report, the incident, I had some serious reservations about her maturity and her being able to handle the responsibilities of a bartender based on what occurred. It seemed, I won't get into the details of the report itself, but it just led me to question exactly whether or not she could handle those responsibilities, because as we all know, we take the responsibilities of a bartender very seriously. The actions that happened that night were completely irresponsible, in my opinion, and thus I wanted you guys to review that and try to get some information, I guess, from Ms. C. Hafer as to why those actions occurred and her severe lapse of judgment in that, on that particular circumstance.
Okay.
It says that it's pending disorderly conduct citation. When did it happen?
So it's pending, it's a disorderly conduct and a battery citation. It occurred just this past July 22nd, I believe. So it'll go before the Village of Ashwaubenon Municipal Court.
With an update on that, I did speak with Ms. Seehafer on the phone. I told her in order to have a pretrial with myself, there needs to be a no contest, not guilty plea entered with the municipal court. I did verify today that a not guilty plea was entered, and Ms. Seehafer will be able to do a pretrial with myself probably coming up pretty shortly.
So there's
that's
been
what
no judgment on this?
There hasn't been a judgment on it yet, but that's the status of it as of right now.
Okay.
Is there a way we can wait to see what the determination is on that and then
I would
take this up again?
say that would be the way to do it, seeing you have not passed any judgment on to you yet. Doesn't mean you're done here. On the
7th, I think. is your next one.
27th, it'll come in front of the board.
Okay,
So you can come back and state your case then, and hopefully your case will be settled by then, and we can look at it and see where we go from there. So if somebody wants to make a motion to let this, or deny it at this point and come back at the 27th to appeal if she would like to.
So moved.
Second?
Got a first and a second denial of the operator's license for Tony Seehafer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
One
All
thing
right.
I would like to say on
Oh,
that too is, for that next meeting, come prepared to say what you've changed about the situation. It wasn't strictly lined out in the letter, and I think that would be helpful to the board involved, so that way they know what you've done to make the changes.
okay,
Definitely.
thanks.
So 27th of the end of this month. Okay, that'll be it for this one then.
Okay, thank you. Do I sit through the meeting then, or I can leave?
Pardon?
I can leave then?
Yes, you
Okay,
can. Yes,
thank you
can.
for your time.
Okay. Item B, action on Class A beer / Class A liquor license request for Indian Head Oil LLC doing business as Holidays Station Store 2746518. Chris, you are the one.
Okay, I see where Jesse, the agent, is in the audience, so he can answer any questions. I do want to state, though, that they are aware that no convenience store in Ashwaubenon has the combination Class A, okay? So what most convenience stores have is the Class A beer with the cider that can go with it. That's allowed. But nowhere in Ashwaubenon is the liquor portion approved for any convenience store.
Okay, any comments on that?
I just worry because if we have a limited number of those licenses, right? And how are we going to choose? I mean, it's not fair to give it to one convenience store and not all of them. How are we going to choose which ones get them? And
No.
Ashwaubenon does have a quota on the Class A liquor. They have 16 and 11 are used. So we only have 5 left.
but those are used by like taverns or
No, that's Class B. This is Class A. Class B has the quota per statute. Ashwaubenon decided to do a quota on the Class A liquor.
oh, okay.
So,
Yeah.
So think of Class A as a weigh, so it's a closed container. You purchase a case of beer or a bottle of vodka, you go home, you consume it at home. That's a Class A.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments?
But I have the same concern, Kelly, that you have is if we start opening this up to all the convenience stores, then they're all going to have liquor in that, and we're going to run out of license very quickly if you look at those type of establishments in Ashwaubenon. So I don't know that I'm in favor of those convenience stores to start selling liquor.
I have to agree, I've been on this board long enough, we haven't issued any to the convenience / gas stations, so I would recommend we continue with that that move there, so.
I do have a question. Is it somewhere in our code that we don't allow it to convenience stores, or is it, I guess I don't know if that is this just how it's been done, or is there somewhere that we don't have it like that?
So at present, there is no provision specifically prohibiting combined Class A licenses for convenience stores. However, it has been the past practice of the board to not grant a combined Class A license absent of cider to a convenience store. That is something we as staff have discussed, that if that is the consideration that the board would like to uphold, that we would propose a draft ordinance for consideration to make it very clear and understandable to applicants that those are not issued to a convenience store type setting.
Okay.
I think that'd be a great idea, Joel.
Yes, we had that conversation today about it, so I agree. It should be in the ordinance or a reading so that the people know that coming in to apply for one, so. Any other questions? If not, I'll obtain a motion. Nobody's.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion, Gary, to deny this Class A liquor license request. Since this is one motion, I'm not quite sure how to do this, but I'd like to make a motion to approve the Class A beer, but disapprove the Class A liquor.
Correct. That would be beer and cider, am I correct? Okay, we would approve the beer and cider, but not the liquor.
I'll second that.
All right, we've got a first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Opposed?
Aye.
No.
Just on motion that it is not in our code that we disallow it, so if that would be something we were to disallow in the future, then it's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay. Okay, I've got enough here for approval. Motion carried then. Or one deny, did you not deny it then?
Yes.
Okay, and one denial.
One denial.
Tony. John, rather. Okay. Pardon? Oh, it'll still go to village board on the 27th. So you can come again for that. Okay, item C, consider, discuss action on ordinance number 09-1-22, amending section 9-1-1 of chapter 9, criminal code action, miscellaneous offense, municipal code relating to scrap metal and forgery. Mr. Legal.
So this is a request from Public Safety to incorporate additional Wisconsin statutes in the criminal section into our code. Typically what happens is there seems to be like an uptick of crimes or municipal violations, and then we amended Table 911 to include, in this case, a couple of them. So in the request is to adopt section 134.405. So purchasing and sale of certain scrap metal. Public safety, to my understanding, has seen an uptick of fraudulent purchases of either theft or selling or purchasing of scrap metal. Adopting this ordinance essentially allows public safety to regulate the buyer of scrap metal. As of right now, there are certain sections like theft or possession or concealing stolen property that a seller could certainly, public safety could certainly regulate a seller of scrap metal. This code specifically relates to buyers of scrap metal and would be able to regulate it somewhat similar to maybe like a pawn shop, where there'd be certain requirements specified for anyone who buys scrap metal. And really, this is a request from public safety to impose that so they can regulate that, I guess, a little bit more effectively when it comes to putting more restrictions on the buyer specifically. The additional request for adoption if the committee scrolls to page 2 on table 911 of this actual agenda item, you can see that I made just a slight adjustment near the bottom where it says forgery. All I did was strike through subsection 3. Striking through subsection 3 and then incorporating 943.38 adopts the entire forgery statute. And why that's a request from public safety is there's also another uptick of people who are possessing these forged items and actually trying to purchase, goods or services or anything with these forged items. Fake money, for example. Let's use fake money as an example. And if someone goes to Quick Trip and they buy a pack of gum for $3, give them a $100 bill, it's fake money, and then they can receive $97 back in real money. That is kind of a typical situation when it comes to forged money. The actual adopting this statute, incorporating all of the forgery statute, allows the public safety to just have more regulations when it comes to municipal violations, something like that as an example.
Everybody understand? Any questions? I think the card and coin shops went through this several years ago with the same thing that you're talking about in the Green Bay area. And it was to protect the person that got the goods and then went and resold them again. So if not, somebody want to obtain a motion here?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item D, consideration action, discuss action on ordinance 09-3-22, amending section 7-6-204 of chapter 7 routes designation, article 6 heavy traffic route of the Village of Ashwaubenon Municipal Code. I believe you are on again, Mr. Legal.
The top green sheet pretty much explains why this Ashland Avenue access road was included. Right before Doug Martin left, he brought to my attention that when this was amended in September 2021, this specific area of the code, Ashland Avenue access road was mistakenly removed from the code. This basically just supplements it back in just to clean up. So requesting to approve as submitted.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
First, second, opposed, motion carried. F, consideration action on ordinance number 09-2-22, repealing and recognition section of 463, chapter 6 business, article 12, mobile food.
I think, yeah,
Pardon?
section E.
Oh, I did, F, E? Oh, okay, here we go. Back to E. Consider action on ordinance number 09-4-22, amending section 127/E of chapter 3, alcohol beverage, article 2, Village of Ashwaubenon Municipal Code. Mr. Legal, this one.
This is a request from staff to adopt. This slightly changes the alcohol or bartender's license approval process. Essentially, as of right now, public safety and the clerk's office review and make their recommendations for approval or denial to the committee and then the board, similar to what we saw tonight. But what this amendment does, and permitted by statute, is allows the public safety and the village clerk to approve, and then the village clerk to grant the license without coming to the village's committees or board. However, it's just a more of an effective and quicker process of granting the alcohol licenses rather than coming before committee. That said, now if someone is denied, they still have their appeal or their denial process coming before and stating their case. So that wouldn't change anything here. That would be the only time that the committee or the board would see a bartending license application from here on.
So make it simple, they wouldn't have to come to the Public Works and Protection if all paperwork is legal, and Chris takes care of it, and that's the end of it.
Correct.
Can't be any easier than that.
No, we just rubber stamp those anyway. I mean, we just look at the names and the lists and say, did they meet all the requirements? And she says yes, and we're like, okay,
Yeah.
right?
All right, all right. Okay, we'll obtain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
Second.
First and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now we'll do number F. Consider, discuss, act on ordinance number 09-2-22, repealing and recreating section 463, chapter 6, business, article 12, mobile food truck establishments of the village of Ashwaubenon code relating to food truck revisions. Mr. Legal again.
The village staff has met pretty considerably on this case for the last several months, on this ordinance the last several months to discuss any kind of revisions and I think inconsistencies with the food truck ordinance. What this does, and I realize there's a lot of changes in that, and if there's any questions, any of us can certainly ask that or answer those questions if there's any relating to this, but we have seen some inconsistencies with how food trucks might be regulated or operated within the village. And what we think is this tightens up maybe some loopholes that were discovered and making it more effective, efficient, and consistent when it comes to food trucks within the village and how they operate. For example, there is food trucks that will still be able to participate at the what we would deem as Village of Ashwaubenon's special events or staffing events. So the Parks and Recs Department food truck rallies, food trucks would be able to operate at the food truck rally, but not necessarily have a license within the village. Now, if they want to certainly operate within the village, that will require them to get a license. But essentially, what this is doing is what we're seeing is some clarifying some of the inconsistencies in the code. So that's the request to kind of just clean up the code and approve as submitted. And again, I realize this is a lot of changes in there, but we felt that this is the best, I guess, ordinance change or amendment going forward.
I agree. I went through it. I've had a few calls on these food trucks. I think this simplifies it. The price is within range of some of these smaller vendors especially. So any questions that you, yeah, cleans it up pretty good. All right, if no questions, I'll obtain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, items for next agenda. You got anything you want? Go to staff, let them know about it. We will obtain a motion to adjourn. Kelly, I know this will be tough for you, but
Move to adjourn.
Second.
first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Enjoy the evening.